Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are back with another video comparing all 6 tanks in the Shadowlands beta. And today this got brought up on stream, so I wanted to make a little video on this. This is a raw HP comparison of all 6 tanks, something that people are asking about. We'll talk a little bit about the repercussions of this, what isn't important here, and also why this is happening potentially for some of the tanks. So before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about what we did this week. There wasn't a lot of tank changes in general, but we did do a lot of testing on both Paladin and Druid. If you watched the Paladin, you would recognize that really capitalized on their group-wide healing utility. I feel like it's extremely powerful, in fact, to the point where I was almost full healing people. And I don't think we would have gotten anywhere that we did with some of those groups if I wasn't doing that. And it wasn't even perfect because I have had some problems clicking people. Click wasn't working, it was lagging us, so I had to disable it. If I was able to properly use add-ons and predict the health, this would have been really, really powerful. So yeah, that VOD's out there. Prop Paladin itself felt decent. I didn't really feel like I was in much danger at any point in time. They felt like they had an even amount of defense. Like, I didn't feel like it was weak against either magic or physical or any type of damage or bleeds or anything like that. But yeah, it was solid. They were good. A lot of people are like proclaiming that Prop Pally is one of the best tanks right now. I still don't necessarily know where that's coming from. If anybody does know, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. For me, I think they're comfortably average. If you're not actually going to get good value out of their group healing, which a lot of people said that is not, like, you're not going to, then I don't think they're that great. Like, that's what really makes them stand out. And then we also tested Bear, and unfortunately, if you watched that stream, you know we had a lot of problems, and it wasn't necessarily with Bear. A lot of people on the beta who frankly don't deserve to have access, and they really slowed me down, frustrated me quite severely. But either way, we did get a lot of testing done on Bear, just not a lot of completed dungeons. And I will say that either I absolutely suck at Bear all of a sudden, which I know I don't play it very well, but I thought I played it better than I did, or there's something wrong with Bear. They are getting destroyed on some packs. Magic especially is just ripping them up, and I was having a lot of trouble with that. And ironically, you see here they have the highest HP pool, but still did not help me in many scenarios. And I guess the other problem was that their offense is abysmal. Like, I'm talking about so bad that I was struggling to hold thread on pretty much most packs. I felt like I had to focus more on offense than I could on defense. And of course, yeah, not having my full UI set up was not helping. I was a little concerned because on Friday's stream we were having a lot of UI errors, so I just kind of disabled everything. But anyway, Bear was definitely, I was kind of upset with how poor it went. Multiple reasons, not just me playing the spec, or not the spec itself playing. But yeah, it was not a great time. I hope to come back to Bear. Another thing is they don't have covenants right now, or they do, but they don't have conduits. Sorry, they have no conduits. There's actually new Paladin conduits too, which we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, there's none at all. Like, literally not a single one for Bear. So very possible that makes a difference. I mean, obviously they're going to help one way or the other. I don't think they're going to solve the problems I had with Bear, but the main issue was that it felt like if I didn't use a defensive legendary, I was relatively flimsy, and if I didn't use an offensive legendary, I was not going to ever do real damage. So they were like really bad overall DPS, like under 2000 DPS overall. And even with the offensive legendary, it barely I felt like they only really brought themselves up to other tanks. But of course, we're a little skewed on this comparison because there's some outlier abilities and situations going on with the tanks we had tested. One thing I'll actually say about Prop Pally is the Vent Their Covenant ability. If you haven't seen it, Ash and Halo, I mean, it looks cool, and it's an interesting ability, but it's a 4-minute CD, so if you watch previous videos, I would have decried this, say it's not useful at all. It's one of the worst abilities in the game, and I still think it's pretty bad, but frankly, it did a lot of freaking damage on a single target, so it felt like a great ability to use on bosses. You can use it on trash too, but it doesn't really do any more damage. You can't see because of the webcam, but it's only a single enemy anyway, regardless how many mobs are in this, so yeah, not really a great ability for 5-mans, but I'll tell you what, every time I used it on boss, I was like top DPS on the boss, so That really skewed the results. Bear, complete freaking opposite. The Venthyr Covenant ability that I took for Bear, well, freaking useless. It just doesn't. It just sucks. That ability really is annoying. The fact that you can get stunned. Like, there was multiple times I used it, and then the boss, like, retreated or whatever. A mob retreated or died or something like that, and I just get stunned. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I understand that I could just keep spamming globals that don't do anything just to not get stunned, but that really should not work that way. It's just so stupid. But anyway, let's take a look real quick at some of these new Paladin conduits. One thing that we tested as well this week was that this just didn't work. I was really hoping to see how much healing this did, but it just didn't actually work. It seemed to have given me the effect of shielding wards instead, or something. I don't know what it was doing, but I never got any testing done with this, unfortunately. Royal Decree is a new one. Guardian of Ancient Kings cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds, and casting it causes your next word of glory to cost no holy power. So right now, by the way, confirmed this week. If you see white text, that's something that's getting modified with the item level. So that kind of changes the whole topic here. Makes Blood DK have some really good ones. But yeah, Prop Pally, that one's pretty cool because, I mean, it's a long CD. It's a 5-minute CD, of course, Guardian of Ancient Kings. So 15 seconds, nothing really good right now, but in the future, maybe that's pretty cool. And then a free Word of Glory. That's pretty nice too. So anyway, Shield of the Righteous extends Ardent Defender's duration by 25%. Now that's an interesting one. I don't know. I didn't get to test it, but I wonder, you know, if you use multiple Shield of the Righteous during Ardent Defender, does it keep extending it 25%? So that's something to consider. No changes here. And then they finally got potency ones. Avenger's Shield causes your target to take 15% more holy damage for 15 seconds, so that's really good. Shield of the Righteous deals 100% more damage to targets affected by Judgment, so I mean that could be good obviously too. Ash and Halo strikes the lowest health allies and enemies within 10% of its effect, so that might be why I was having good results with that. I don't actually know how this works. Like, does it do that extra for a single target, or does it only work for 2 targets? I don't actually know how that works. And then there's also this one for Ret, which does seem like it might work. Judgment grants you Seal of Command for 4 seconds, granting your Templar's Verdict, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, and weapon attacks a 10% chance of dealing 10% additional holy damage. So, I mean, it's only going to be auto attacks, so I don't know how good that would be, but, you know, if you played a tank before, you know melee is often one of your highest damage on single targets. So, yeah, I'd be interested in testing all of this out. Didn't really get a ton of time to do that. But, you know, this is something to consider. Obviously, I'm talking about Bear being so poor offensively. They didn't even have, like, literally they don't have potency conduit. They have no conduits. So what do you think? What if Bear got some good potency conduits? What would be good ones? Honestly, I kind of feel like their legendaries should have probably been potency conduits. The problem with Bear also is that, like I said, their legendaries, they have one really good offensive one, like a really good one. It's like 1.5. People were saying it's like 1.5 of a legendary from Legion. So that's a good one for offense, but they have this really good one defensively. Makes Barkskin way stronger, like we talked about it however long ago that was. Really good one there. Problem is, you know, you use that, you better make sure you got somebody watching for threat, because literally it's crazy, man. You just lose threat on every single pack. So not ideal, but I did feel like I probably needed that. If I do more Bear testing, I don't think I'm taking that legendary off, because Magic is just getting ripped up, and especially with the talent to make Barkskin only 40 seconds, and also with Brambles, turns Barkskin pretty much into your best defensive CD. So pretty cool. I like the concept there, but I was a little disappointed with my outlook on Bear. So hopefully things will change. Next week we're doing Vengeance and Paladin, or sorry, Vengeance and Warrior. And I was saying this on stream, but if we could make Warrior look better than Bear, then we have a real problem there, because first of all, I suck at Warrior. You think I played Bear bad? You're not gonna want to watch me play Warrior. Absolutely, always been horrible at it for some reason. They just gain resources too fast for me, and there's an expectation to use them. So unlike you're kind of like Demon Hunter, where you can sit on the resources. Same with Blood DK. That's kind of the real problem I had with Bear, was that I was used to sitting on resources now from playing Blood DK for so much that obviously it's the complete opposite of how you want to play Bear. But anyway, we'll see. We'll stay tuned for that. Vengeance and Warrior coming next Friday and Saturday. Vengeance will be Friday. Saturday will be Prot Warrior. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this HP thing here, okay? Because this is interesting to me. We took a look at this. This is at 215 item level. So if you haven't seen, you come into a Mythic Plus, character gets scaled to 215 item level. Now there's some variables here that we couldn't control for. Well, it's mostly with Bear. First of all, our Bear was a Tauren, so not ideal. But you could look at the HP ratio. It's a little bit more important than the actual raw values. And they also have the Mastery, right? The Mastery also increases the HP. But like this is like, this is a normal real world scenario. Like a lot of people are playing Tauren Bears, and a lot of people have Mastery on their gear. So it's not like completely invalidated, but this is what the order was. So I had a video. We did the same thing in BFA. Video went great. So I figured I'd do it again. This order here was what it was in BFA. Okay, so Vengeance. I'm actually going to read this out real quick. So at 326 item level, we had 171k health. Sorry, 121, almost 172k on Vengeance, 170k on Blood, 163k on Bear, 152k on Prop Paladin, 140k on Prop Warrior, and 140k on Brewmaster. And Brewmaster had 200 less health than Warrior at the time in BFA. And that was Season 1 in BFA. Obviously Season 2 in BFA buffed the hell out of Warrior. I guess they buffed their HP too, didn't realize that. As you're going to see here, Prot Warrior actually has a higher HP ratio to stamina than any other tank. Every other tank is 20 to 1, meaning the stamina that they have, 20 times that is the HP they have, which I'm not a math guy, so let me know if you expect that, if that's normal. I was kind of surprised by that, but I guess what happens here is the character sheet, because I know Vengeance and Blood have more stamina, so I thought what that meant was they had a higher stamina to HP ratio, not they didn't actually have more stamina, but so that's not the case. So Prot Warrior just has a higher stamina to HP ratio. Did people know that? Am I crazy? Am I the only one who didn't know that? So it's funny because at 0 item level, Prot Paladin and Prot Warrior had the exact same amount of stamina, and they have over 1,000. They have 1,200 more health, right? So that translates all the way up here, 51,000, which is second lowest, and 56,000. And they're similar style tanks. The big problem, I guess, is Paladin has a relatively good amount of self-healing, where Prot Warrior necessarily does not have that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that whole situation there with Prot Warrior. But otherwise, everything I think was to expectation. And again, Druid is an outlier, but they are the #1, and I think a lot of that is because they were Tauren and also because of the Mastery. If you took the Mastery away and you took Tauren away, they probably would have been below Vengeance, which is what I expect. That's what we got in BFA beta testing as well. And I don't think they buffed Bear. If anything, I thought they buffed Vengeance again, but I can't remember when all these changes happened. So I know Vengeance has more stamina, like they have more health than Blood DK. That's always been the case. The thing is, Blood DK has much more access to a higher HP pool because of Vamp Blood, and Vengeance has a higher maximum because of Metamorphosis, which is 3-minute CD. Now you'll get it because of Demonic as well. So both are sitting pretty. I'd say both tanks are looking really good, and I think the HP pool does matter for tanks like that are pure self-healing, right? Because you're not going to mitigate a lot of damage, even though Vengeance has better mitigation. You're expecting to heal through a lot of it, so the more health you have, the more important. And that doesn't necessarily mean that those tanks are easier to play, because, even though they do have more HP, it's not like they have double the HP. So you're oftentimes going to be taking double the amount of damage as a Brewmaster or even a Warrior, so they don't have that much more. They barely have more health. In fact, Blood DK almost doesn't have more health. So that's something to consider. But also the Brewmaster Monk discussion here, 46,000, considerably lower, almost 10,000 lower than the average. And that is really, to me, that's alarming. I don't like that. And I do feel like Brewmaster Monk is going to have a lot of trouble with magic, and that might be part of why. But they do have what's considered the highest effective health pool in the game, because literally every point of, it used to be every point of damage was mitigated in some dramatic way, but mostly physical damage, just say auto attacks, are mitigated to a degree with stagger. So whereas most tanks don't have that luxury. Also could be pertinent to look at armor and that mitigation as well in the future, but obviously a lot of tanks just aren't built with armor, so I tried to exclude that from this conversation. But obviously Brewmaster is known for its effective health pool, its effective ability to kind of shrug off damage, but I believe this was one of the things that they nerfed in the end of BFA in Season 4. They nerfed the actual HP pool of Brewmaster Monk, which I think is a big deal, and you can see it a really harsh drop off. Like if you look at BFA, like I said, Prot Warrior had 140. It had 140840. That's the number, and then Brewmaster is 140640. And the only reason that there was a difference was because Warrior had 7042 stamina, where Brewmaster had 7032 stamina. So basically, they had the exact same health. They just had slightly more stamina for whatever reason. And then compare that to, say, Bear was only 20,000 less. So I mean, the difference here, I think, if it's 20,000 less now. It's not, but it's 10,000 less now. And the HP is well under half of what it was then. So I feel like Brewmaster definitely is in an odd state, but let me know what you guys think. I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on this. I'm not a big math guy, and this will be down below for you to extrapolate on. But I really like this conversation because it brings out a lot of different perspectives that I would never consider. So what do you guys care about this? Do you think it's important? For me, I think it's important if you're looking to play a new character. If you're not familiar with all 6 tanks and how they compare, this might be interesting to see this. Also, if you've never tanked before, you might be looking for the tank that has potentially the best baseline ability to survive. So a lot of people might look at that as Bear or also Vengeance right now. And Warrior is actually better than I expected as well. So, you know, these are things to consider. But don't get too caught up on it. HP does not matter nearly as much as the way you play your character and how your abilities interact with your HP pool. But that's the main thing, is to realize that Blood DK, Bear too, but Blood DK, Vengeance especially, have things that interact heavily with their HP pool. And if we get back to a situation like we did in BFA with Twilight Devastation, where the more HP, the more something you do, then that is always going to keep them as a kind of an outlier on this chart, especially compared to Brewmaster. So let me know what you think, guys, here. Everything else is pretty straightforward here, but this will be an image that you can look at down below in the description. And I'm very eager to hear your thoughts on this. And that's pretty much it. So this week, relatively slow week. Next week we'll be back, Vengeance and Warrior testing, and maybe there'll be some new tank changes. Hopefully we'll be able to cover some conduits for Druid. But otherwise, there's also some new legendaries, but they're not obtainable right now, and they seem like really weird. They're like legendaries that every class can use, and I kind of wonder if there's something to do with Torghast, because like 2 of them are like literally only valuable in Torghast. So I'm not really sure what they're going for there, but anyway, that's everything for me. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. We'll see you in the next one.